The 3-2-1 rule. There is a lot that's hard about sleep, menopause, hormones, kids, work, but much of the problems that you're having with sleep can be mitigated by your pre-bed ritual, and that's 3-2-1. So 3 hours before bedtime, you stop eating. 2 hours before bedtime, you stop drinking, and that's when you stop making decisions. That's when the computer gets shut, the phone gets shut down. That's when the big marital conversations cease, or the conversation you have to have with your teenagers, it stops. And then 1 hour before bedtime, that's when all the lights go down. This is StRest. I'm Kerstin Lindquist, health coach, author, and Emmy award-winning TV host. I've committed to helping people reduce stress through impressive health science, attainable mindset change, and biblical truth. Let's have a real conversation with zero judgment and endless solutions that you can use. You aren't alone. You can do this. Let me help you reduce stress and make room for rest. Can I tell you how much I love that it's getting warm and that it's summer coming, but how much I don't love allergies? And everybody's saying that allergies are getting worse and worse. I believe it. So I've got my Yeti full of water in case I need to take a drink during this solo episode of StRest. I love these episodes because we get to dive into one specific subject and kind of give you a little bit of a master class. This is a lot of what you hear in my webinars as well. I encourage you to sign up for those because those are master classes as well. The thing that I want you to know before we dive into what goes into a good nighttime routine is that I'm going to give you a lot of information. It is like drinking from a fire hose. I need you to take notes, be aware of everything, but implement one thing at a time. Small millimeter movements are what is going to get you to be successful. If there's too many things and too much stuff and your brain kind of shuts down. This happened to me when I was presenting and selling on QVC as well. And even still to this day, I always tell brands, don't have too many choices. Because how many times have you watched something or been somewhere and buying something and there were so many choices and you couldn't make a decision, so you just didn't make one. You just stopped. You didn't do anything. It's kind of the same thing with health. There's so many great tools. There's so much research and so much science, but don't overwhelm yourself by trying to put everything into action at the same time. So the very first thing we're going to talk about when it comes to a good sleep and nighttime routine is the most important one. And if this is all that you take away, this is what you needed this podcast for. The first and most important thing that goes into a good nighttime and sleep routine is mental preparation. Mental preparation before anything else. And here is why. Your brain needs to shut down in order for you to sleep. Sleep is super important to us because that is where our brains heal and our bodies heal. Our brains are healing in REM and our bodies in deep. So get yourself a tracker. I hope you have a tracker. I love Ultra Human. I will link that one for you. But it could be Aura. It could be Whoop. It could be whatever works for you. And take a look at your REM and your deep sleep. That's what I will look at most with sleep when I'm speaking with my clients and trying to figure out what's going on with their sleep, is you want your brain and your body to be resting and healing. And they cannot do that unless they're getting into deep and REM sleep. And you need to have, it's about 90 minutes per cycle of sleep, which is your short wave, your deep wave, like your light and you're awake. You go through cycles. It always happens every single night. It takes about 90 minutes. So when you're waking up in the middle of the night, it's because you've completed a cycle, but we need to stop your body from waking up in the middle of the night because you shouldn't. You should just go right into the next cycle. So something's off if you're waking up. We'll get into that in just a second. But you need about 90 minutes per cycle. You need about 5 cycles. That means you need about 8 hours of sleep. Everybody's different. Everybody is different. So you might need a little more. You might need a little less. You might be more pre-wired to be more of a night owl. You might be a morning person. I'm raising my hand because I'm the morning person. And I think that we rock, by the way, the morning people. Not that you don't, nighttime people. So you need to get good sleep. You want to lose weight, your body has to heal, and your brain has to be sharp to be able to make good choices. So you have to sleep. You want to be able to run a marathon? Your body needs to heal. Your brain needs to be able to make the decisions to go out for that run. So you need to get good sleep. You want to get a better job? Well, your brain needs to heal. You want to avoid Alzheimer's and dementia? Well, your brain and your body both need to heal. You see what I'm saying? You have a chronic condition. Your body needs to heal. Nothing is going to work in your life unless you get good sleep. It is the most important thing, which is why your pre-bed ritual and your nighttime routine is so important. You have to mentally be there and prepare for it. So not only is it just a mindset shift and change around, okay, I'm going to protect my sleep and my nighttime ritual with my life. Remember, everything I talk about is 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, you are on point and you are protecting that nighttime ritual. 20% of the time, you are traveling. You are out to dinner late with friends who think that they're European and eat at 9 o'clock at night. You have sports that go until super late. Oh my goodness, children. You have a baby. You are caretaking. Get it? It's an 80-20 rule. So don't say, oh, I just can't do this, because some of the days you can't. Do the days that you can. So first thing is mental preparation. The other piece of that mental preparation is literally shutting down your brain at night. There have been studies that show the biggest threat to human health right now is the disruption of circadian rhythms. That is your body's 24-hour clock. That's how you get up with the sun and go to bed with the sun. It regulates your hormones. It regulates your immunity. And the problem is forced unnatural light into our homes 24/7, working after sundown. We don't know what is day and what is night because we have all of this blue light in our houses. And our brains just keep going. We work. Every time that I have to work late, because it happens. Again, 80-20 rule. Last night was one of those nights. I had to be out late for my kids. They weren't getting done till 9:30. Listen, you guys, I'm like an 8:30 to bed type of person. That means my nighttime routine starts at least an hour before that. So I knew that I was going to still be out picking kids up at 9:30. Wasn't going to get home until 10. Probably wasn't going to get to bed until 10:30, so on and so forth. So when I was out, I was still doing some work. I'm like, you know what? It's all shot anyway. I might as well do some work. But in my head, I'm going, I know this isn't healthy for when I finally do start to go to sleep, because mentally I'm still writing a podcast, writing a blog. Mentally, I'm still in billing and scheduling. And you need your brain to shut down and take a break. So it's a mental preparation of no more decision making before bedtime. And I'm going to give you kind of an idea on timing on that as well. So the most important thing is to get your brain there. Mentally, okay, sleep is important to me. I'm going to guard my nighttime routine, and then also mentally shutting down your brain before bedtime. That takes me to the 3-2-1 rule. When you hear me speak, this is a big part of it. There is a lot that's hard about sleep, menopause, hormones, kids, work, but much of the problems that you're having with sleep can be mitigated by your pre-bed ritual, and that's 3-2-1. So 3 hours before bedtime, you stop eating, because in the gut is where our melatonin is created, and we can't be digesting, which is a cortisol, that's a hormone inducing activity. We can't be digesting as well as creating melatonin at the same time. So I want you to be able to digest so that your melatonin can come in and help you go to sleep. So 3 hours before bedtime, you stop eating. 2 hours before bedtime, you stop drinking, and that's when you stop making decisions. That's when the computer gets shut, the phone gets shut down. There's no more big mental decisions. That's when the conversations, the big marital conversations cease, or the conversation you have to have with your teenagers, it stops. There's no more big decision making 2 hours before bedtime. And then 1 hour before bedtime, that's when all the lights go down. So it's the 3-2-1 rule. Write it down, put it into effect at least 80% of the time, 20% of the time. Life happens, such as, for me, my teenagers come in and want to talk at 10:30 at night. And there's some big discussions and there's some big decision making. So that is not following 3-2-1. But you know what? It's the most important thing that I can do at this time in my life, is allow for those children to come into my bed and lay it all out and let me carry some of that burden of being a teenager, because being a teenager is hard. And so you'll have those times in your life. I know that it's a short amount of time, though. When I was working in corporate America and I couldn't let them come into my bed and talk to me at 10, 11 o'clock at night, because I knew I had to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work, I had to make those decisions. And so that's part of why I know I've got a few more years left with this set of teenagers. Then the boy comes up. And so I needed to get rid of one stressor so that I could have the other stressor, the having teenagers, and balance it all out. So yeah, that meant the job had to go, because you know what's most important to me? My children. So for such a time as this, Esther 4:14, my decision is, yes, I'm going to have the stress and I'm going to have the interruption of sleep with my daughters, at night, but that is the most important thing that I can do for these next few years. And so then I have to figure out how to get rid of another stress in my life. And for me, what had to go was the big, humongous job. Still working. It's just different now. So do you see how the decision making has to come into play? All of this talk of stress, and especially for women in middle age, we can do everything the guys can. We can do everything that we were doing in our 30s, but we can't do it the same way. That's the change. Our bodies don't metabolize stress the way that they did in our 30s. I could work all day long, all night long. I could drink until 2:00 in the morning and wake up and be ready to go. And I could go on the air. Oh my goodness. I would go out dancing in San Diego with my husband pre-kids and still be kind of hungover and do the Saturday morning news on ABC. And I could do that. Now, if I tried to do that, forget about it. But here's the thing. I can still do the news at 8:00 in the morning. I could probably still go dancing. The drinking part, I just could not do. I cannot do alcohol anymore, really at all. But I would have to build in the good stressors or the counterbalances to allow myself to do that. So I'd have to do yoga nidra in the afternoon. I would have to prioritize my protein. I'd have to prioritize sleep the next night. All of these things to make me be able to do the things. So listen, you can still live a baller life. You can still hustle, but you have to put in to place the things that allow you at the age that you're at now to be able to counterbalance it. And that's why sleep truly needs to be the number one and the most important. So back to 3, 2, 1. 3 hours before bedtime, you stop eating. 2 hours before bedtime, the decision-making stops and you stop drinking. And then 1 hour before bedtime, all the lights go down, which is the number 2 big takeaway for your nighttime, your sleep ritual. First one was mental preparation. Number 2 is light. Light is really disrupting us. Like I said, studies showing circadian rhythms being off is one of the biggest problems that we have in health. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is blue light, white light. Red light is okay. Red light therapy, by the way, fantastic. Love it. Red light first thing in the morning. Go back and listen to the morning routine about getting sun before screens. I like red light on my face, all of those things. It's the blue light that is a problem. So what you have, and that comes from every single one of your devices. So that's computer, that's television, that's tablet, that's phone. All of those things need to go off the hour before bedtime. Can you please get the television out of your bed? Truly. Can you please take the television out of your bedroom? I didn't say all of these things were going to be easy. And while this sounds easy, there are so many of you out there who are like, over my dead body, there will always be a TV in my bedroom. Okay, well, you're always going to have disrupted sleep. And listen, my husband's one of those. He doesn't have a TV, but he has his iPad, and he falls asleep with his iPad on, playing Friends every single night. And I reach over and I turn it off when I get into bed. It's disrupting your sleep. You're not getting enough deep in REM. Your HRV isn't recovering. Your VO2 max isn't recovering. You're getting sick. You have chronic conditions. All of this leads to sleep. And if you're watching a screen before bedtime or you have one played while you're trying to sleep, it's disrupting. Just period. Just stop it. Just stop it. Turn it off, put it away. Take the phones, put them across the room. This is a hard one because I have kids and I have family members who, what if somebody called me in the middle of the night? I have a little bit of PTSD because my mom died in the middle of the night. So I was called at like 1:00 in the morning. So at this point, I'm just like, I feel like I always have to have my phone somewhere where I could hear it. When I was helping caregive for her and she was in assisted living at the very, very end, they would call almost every night because she was having problems. So I have that thing still where I have to have my phone, but not next to the bed because of EMFs. Those are those electromagnetic fields. We could do a whole podcast about that. Go listen to somebody smarter than me about all that. But the point is, it's disrupting your sleep. So put your phone as far away as you can. If you aren't somebody like me and you don't have to have your phone on, put it in a different room or put it on airplane mode to get rid of those EMFs. Another big, super easy one is change the light bulbs in your bedroom and your bathroom or wherever you might be that hour before bed, or if you get up in the middle of the night and have to go to the bathroom, to red lights. Super inexpensive. You can find them on Amazon for like $6 for a pack. So you put the red light there. Your eyes need to think, okay, morning, red, and then sun. And then during the day, our circadian rhythms, hey, bright sun overhead. And then it starts to go down, right? And then the red light comes as the sunset happens. And then you go to sleep when it's dark. If you have any type of overhead lights anywhere in your house where you might be an hour before bed, get rid of it. Because overhead light signals the body that the sun is high in the sky and it's time for us to be awake. And it's time for us to do things. So no overhead light, and red lights are what's best in your bedroom or wherever you're going to be the hour before bedtime. And same thing if you have to go to the bathroom. And if you have those little annoying blue lights, we have them everywhere, like on the light switches or on fan next to your bed. Put a piece of black tape over them. Get rid of those little blue lights. They are disrupting you. Make sure that it is mimicking what it would be outside in the morning or at night, not what it would be in the middle of the day. Along with that light, so 3, 2, 1, 3 hours before bedtime, stop eating. 2 hours before bedtime, you are going to stop making decisions and you are going to stop having anything to drink. And then 1 hour before bedtime, you are going to turn all the lights down. So what do you do that hour before bedtime? Read a book. And if you're reading a book on a device, put it in grayscale. You go into settings, then accessibility. This is all on an iPhone or an iPad, and then display and text sizes, and then it's color filters, and then you click it to grayscale. In fact, I encourage you to put your phones on grayscale as soon as the sun goes down. The phones are rewiring your brains, and it's also keeping us awake, and it's making it so that we can't sleep. And when we do sleep, it's disrupted sleep. Putting it on grayscale, it's amazing. You will feel the difference. In fact, if you can do a couple of days on grayscale, you won't be on your phone as much. You're just not getting that dopamine hit that all the color gives you. So put your phone on grayscale as it starts to get dark, and then don't take your phone off grayscale during the day until you've been outside and you've got light, actual light into your skin and into your eyes to get your circadian rhythms going and jumpstart that melatonin production. So grayscale is super, super important as well. Blue light blockers. Love them. Totally agree. Because honestly, the sun probably goes down more than an hour before you start to turn everything off. So again, as soon as it starts to get kind of dark outside, put on your blue light blockers. My favorite these days are Viva Rays. And the reason why is, first of all, they're cuter than some of the other ones, but they have different lenses that you just magnetize on. So okay, here's the ones for the day. And then, oh, it's getting a little dark outside. I'll put this one on. Oh, it's dark outside. I'll put this one on. You will notice it's kind of hard when you have your full, true, dark Viva Ray glasses on. Be careful. If you don't have lights on in the house and you're walking around, you're not gonna be able to see. It's really meant for laying in bed and reading your book, and maybe you have a light still on. If you have to be on a computer a couple hours before bedtime, but you'll start to feel the drowsiness and the sleepiness come. All of these things that we're talking about, you will start to feel the drowsiness and the sleepiness come. So blue light blockers are super, super important. And a word about that drowsiness, I heard somebody explain it once as the sleep train. 12 hours after you see first light in the morning, your melatonin starts to come back to you. As we age, melatonin is a hormone, by the way, and as we age, melatonin production gets harder for us to do. So that's why we start to supplement sometimes, but I'll talk about that in a second. The melatonin comes, it's like a train. Here comes the sleep train, and you have to jump on. When you start to get tired, you have to jump on, because that melatonin and the way that it fluctuates through your body is very similar to those sleep cycles, those 90-minute sleep cycles. Because if you miss that train, the next one is not coming for another hour, hour and a half. And all of a sudden your cortisol kicks back in and your body's like, okay, we didn't get that train. That means we're not going to sleep. Let's get up and keep this body awake. And then if you decide 20 minutes later, I want to go to sleep. Nope, sorry, you missed the melatonin. Your body's primed and ready for action. It's going to be hard to go to sleep. So when you start to feel the drowsiness come because you've put on your blue light blocking glasses, because you've stopped making these decisions, because you've had a healthy couple of last hours, you've got to go to bed. So that goes back to the number one most important part of all of this is your mental prep. If that sleep train comes and it's 8 o'clock and you're like, no, I still have to go watch reruns of Lost, you're going to be suffering because you'll miss the sleep train, and then it's going to be harder to go to bed once Jack and Kate find each other in the jungle and you're done watching Lost. We're rewatching Lost in my family. It's a really good one, by the way. It really is. It's really good. And I can't believe it's 15 years old. Crazy. So grab the sleep train. That's super important. Blue light blockers, please use them. Red lights in your house, please put them there. What else can you do? How about your routine? Number 3 is your routine. We've had mental prep, we've had light, which also includes the 3-2-1 rule, and then your routine, your pre-bed routine. So you eat your last meal. Let's talk about that for a second. Good combination of protein, fat, a little bit of carbs. A little bit of carbs aren't bad last meal because that's actually going to help you with getting kind of sleepy. These are generalized ideas and principles and rules. Every body is different. Athletes out there might have to actually eat something before bed because of blood sugar tolerance. You might be diabetic and there might be something in there for you as well. So please take all of this with a grain of salt. Grain of salt? Is that what it is? Could it be sodium, potassium, magnesium, like electrolyte salt? Because that's my favorite, maybe from Bowie. Kind of love them. Eating about 3 hours before bedtime is what you want to do. And even more, if you can, play with your tracker, play with your Ultrahuman or whatever ring you have, and see how your HRV responds. I find if I push my meal to last meal to 4 o'clock, my HRV is always better at night when I'm super fasted. Or if I've had maybe a big fasting day, I fasted for 21 hours, one of those days, my HRV is always better. HRV is a measure of stress. So food is a stressor on the body because of inflammation and what it causes at times. So you got to play with you. There might be times when you just can't do it. And maybe you're just working on getting metabolically flexible. I highly recommend getting a lumen that helps you with metabolic flexibility and tells you the impact of the meal before. So you blow into it and it measures the CO2 in your breath. And it tells you kind of the impact of whatever meal you had at night and if that was the right kind of meal for you to start winding down at night or not. If you do have to eat before bedtime, there has been some research revolving around protein before bed being good to help regulate your blood sugar overnight. I've heard registered dietitians talk about things like no sugar, no salt, peanut butter and an apple or an egg, something like that if you have to. Most people I work with, we really just try to not eat 3 hours before bedtime. But especially if you are somebody who is fasting or you're really working on that, your last meal has to be very nutritious. There are also times when it will just be a protein shake for me. Last meal does not have to be a big meal. Shouldn't be a big meal. Earlier meals should be bigger. So a protein shake kind of hits the spot for me at times as well. And of course I like Vita Hustle. That's my favorite. Hormones and blood sugar can definitely impact your sleep. So melatonin is what we want to increase. Cortisol is what we want to decrease. Go back and listen to the morning routine so we can talk about how to regulate that cortisol in the morning so you're better in the evening. But if you are doing hardcore work a few hours before bedtime, if you eat a meal that is highly processed or full of sugar, all of that's going to spike your cortisol. And then blood sugar, there are times, especially when somebody's fasting or different times in a woman's cycle, where your blood sugar is going up and down in the middle of the night, and that's what's waking you up. So you need to play with the eating thing. Talk to your health coach, talk to a nutritionist or a registered dietitian. If you're waking up in the middle of the night, if you're menopausal or perimenopausal, or maybe you've got blood sugar things going on, let's talk about if you need to eat before bedtime, what you need to eat, or maybe you need to take it back a little bit. I also highly recommend getting a glucose monitor. Do it for 10 days and see what's happening before bed, see what's happening after your last meal. So that's your last meal. That's protein possibly before bed. Let's talk about exercise timing. You should always go for a walk after your last meal. And that doesn't have to be a long walk. That could be 5 minutes. That could be just before you go sit down on the couch or whatever you do after dinner. Go for a little bit of a walk. This is going to help regulate your blood sugar. Again, this all goes back to your hormones. What about exercising, like really exercising at night, going to a spin class, going to yoga class? I really feel torn on this. Studies show us that it's best to work out in the morning. So your biggest workout is first thing in the morning. When you go to my movement workshops, we talk about movement over time throughout the day. The healthiest career is a shepherd. And shepherds are moving all day long. They're not going to the gym at night. So that's really how your exercise should come. But I've had clients who they loved to work out. They needed to lift weights or they needed to do a spin class and they could only do it at 6 o'clock at night. And we played with different things. Really, the biggest problem there comes with, okay, then when do you eat? Can you eat a couple hours before workout and then not eat? Because if you do a hardcore workout in the evening and then you eat afterwards, your body is all messed up for sleep. You're not going to bed until super late because you're digesting, you're coming down from the cortisol push of a hardcore workout. So then that has put some of my clients to bed at 11 o'clock or midnight, and then they have to get up for work at 5 or 6. If you're somebody who can then sleep in until 8 or 9, then maybe we can play with you working out a little bit later. But if you're somebody who has to get up normal time of normal people do, like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, I would not be working out at night. I would figure out how to do it earlier in the day or do your movement throughout the day so you're not having to eat late and get the cortisol of exercise late as well. Environment. Number 4 is environment. Number 1, mental preparation. Number 2, light. Number 3, your routine. And then number 4 is your environment. We are told that the best temperature for sleeping is between 64 and 67 degrees. That sounds super cold to me. And also, I do not want to have that type of air conditioning, but I try. And when I'm at a hotel, you better believe I'm at 67. Try and keep it as cool as you possibly can in the room, especially if you're perimenopausal or menopausal, because you know that can be a big disruptor is heat. A fan beside your bed is fantastic. A window open if you need to. We already talked about light, completely pitch black. I want blackout curtains in your room. I want all light away, covering up those little blue lights everywhere with the black tape. Completely pitch black. That's one of the biggest disruptors to sleep. You go through that 90-minute cycle and you do go through a time at the end where you're kind of awake. If there's light, it's going to wake you up. So get rid of the light in your room as much as you possibly can and wear an eye mask. Something over your eyes. A word of caution, if it's too tight or too heavy, because I've had those ones before, they're like weighted, it can actually give you an ocular issue the next day. That happened to me like 3 or 4 days in a row. I was waking up, my vision was blurry to the point that I was on the air at QVC and I couldn't like read the monitors in front of me. I was like, what is going on? Why do I have blurry vision? Lo and behold, I had a new sleep mask that was weighted and it was pushing against my eyes and was causing a problem. So just make sure of that stuff, make it loose enough that you can see, get the ones that are a little rounded maybe. A Sutra has a really great one that I like. They also have a lot of great magnesium products that I like that are really, really great for bed. We'll be right back. Don't go away. It's just getting good. I do not really have much makeup on, a little bit of lip gloss, and my absolute favorite, Dr. Deness Skin Science. This is her Tinted Defense Day Cream SPF 40. You can see by my bottle that I use it every single day, and this is the supersized bottle, which is what you absolutely need. It gives me the protection that I need because it has SPF. It gives me the blur because it has those pigments. But most importantly, like all of Dr. Deness's skincare products, they actually work. She uses the most of the efficacious ingredients, and they're all clean. You know, I wouldn't talk to you about anything in your skincare or your beauty that wasn't clean beauty. This brand really has changed my skin. Listen, I'm 47 years old. I need a little extra help. I'll tell you where to start. Other than the Skin Defense, you're going to need HydroShield. Oh my goodness, the hydration. It has changed my deeply dehydrated life and makes it look like perhaps I got all the sleep and I have no stress and I didn't cry in the bathroom after my kids went to sleep at night. It really, really works. Everything does. And with clean beauty. And because we want you to have your own midlife glow up and be able to be, I don't know, maybe makeup free from time to time like I am right now. Dr. Deness has given you a little something off. Go to drdeness.com and use the code STREST. That's STREST for a discount. You'll thank me later. Now back to the show. So eye mask is important. Mouth tape. I just listened to a doctor talk about breathing. Breath by James Nestor is a really, really good book. We should not be mouth breathing, only nose breathing, just for overall health. I know there's a lot of mouth breathers out there. My husband's a mouth breather. Some of you are mouth breathing because you have a problem with your jaw. You could have sleep apnea. So these are all things that you need to go talk to your doctor about, because if you're mouth breathing and you can't stop that, we need to get that fixed. You're not getting the right amount of oxygen. You're not getting into REM and you're not getting into deep like you need to. And that can lead to problems, cognitive and physical problems down the line. So I've had people that have pushed back about getting the sleep apnea test. Just get it done. Doesn't mean you have to have a CPAP machine. There's other things out there. There are in-mouth devices that you can use now that can help put you in the right position. But let's just go ahead and say that you're kind of like me and you can nose breathe perfectly fine. You don't have any underlying health conditions. Try mouth tape. Also, Amazon, super cheap. It's not as scary as it sounds. So it really is just goes right here. And like, I can still talk. This is honestly how it is. I can still talk when I have mouth tape on. It doesn't like completely seal you shut. It just kind of closes you like this, and it forces you to breathe through your nose. Obviously, if you're sick, you have a stuffy nose, it's not the time to do mouth tape, but people will see an increase in their REM and their deep, their quality of sleep, the way that they feel just by putting on mouth tape. So give that a try. It's a super inexpensive hack for you to use. Your bed, it should be the best. You should look at that bed and go, oh, I can't wait to get in there. I can't wait to be with you. If you're using your bed for work and it's where you have fights with your spouse and you're not looking at it and it's not a happy place for you. You've got to keep it sacred, because we train our brains. We train our brains just like we eat with our eyes before we actually eat with our mouth, because we look at it and we go, oh, that's going to be good. And we train ourselves. It's the same thing with sleep. And if you have a very bad relationship with sleep and you've been waking up in the middle of the night for years and you just can't sleep, your brain has learned to look at your bed and go, oh, that's where we stay awake. That's where we ruminate all night long. That's where we get sweaty and we're unhappy. So you got to change things up. And it starts with how you feel about your bed. If you have a mattress that's over 10 years old, ditch it, get a new one. Try different mattresses. Your body changes throughout your life. Pregnancies change your body. Surgeries change your body. Weight changes your body. So the bed that worked for you 5 years ago might not work for you now. It should be super comfortable. If you're tossing and turning a lot because like your arms falling asleep or your hips falling asleep, you need a different bed to be able to get the right pressure points. Make sure that it's cool enough, cooling sheets if you need to, warm enough. You've got lots of layers, pillows, and more pillows, a pillow behind your neck, like right underneath your neck, to kind of tip your chin back a little bit and open your airways is really, really helpful. There are, like these halo pillows that are kind of a little bit of weight that go over your forehead that are super helpful. I find those super helpful to have a little bit of pressure against my forehead when I'm sleeping. Best sleep position on your back is best, if not side, and right side is going to stimulate your vagus nerve to help you go to sleep. So falling asleep on your right side as opposed to your left. Tummy's not the best, but honestly, I say the best position for you to sleep is the one in which you will sleep in, and you'll keep your airways in the right position. So make sure your bed is super, super happy and cozy. And then journaling before bed is key. Here's why. Again, we train our brains to look at our bed and go, oh, that's where I ruminate. That's where I stress out. So we need to trick our brains as we're going to sleep. Always 5 things you're grateful for. You can do that in your head too. I like to actually write down. You can think it out loud. You can say it out loud. All the things that I'm worried about for the next day, or the things that have happened that I haven't been able to fully complete and take care of from that day, like stuff that's still on my list or stuff that's on my list tomorrow that I'm worried about. And I say, while I'm tricking my brain and then also talking to Jesus about this, okay, Lord, I'm giving that document that I have to finish to you. Okay, Lord, I have this meeting tomorrow and I'm worried about it, but you know what? It's not mine. Brain, we're giving this to God tonight. Tomorrow morning, we'll pick it back up for ourselves. Literally assigning the tasks out of your head to our Heavenly Father, to somebody else, and then telling your brain, hey, listen, I know you want to take control of this. You can have it later. You can have it when we wake up. After we have a really good night's sleep and we heal, tomorrow morning, I promise I will give you this worry back. You can have the worry about whether or not your 8-year-old's going to read. We'll take that back, okay? But tonight, we're going to give it to God and we're going to give it to somebody else so that we can heal. So I know it sounds silly and childish, but you can do this to rewire your brain and trick it. And it needs to be done. And then you're also giving your concerns to the Lord, like praying that away. I also truly believe in dreaming and asking the Lord to inhabit your dreams, because the Holy Spirit speaks to us a lot in our dreams. One of my big sadnesses in life is I don't see my mom in my dreams. I don't hear from her. I don't see her. And a lot of people say that they do. So I'll pray for that often. Like, come on, God, let me hear from my mom in my dreams. And occasionally it's happened. God, I'm trying to figure out what to do about this one person in this one relationship. Would you come to me in my dreams and kind of talk me through it? So you can ask for those things. I wouldn't do big, like scary, hard things, because again, we don't want our brain thinking this is where we wake up in the middle of the night and we ruminate. But you can absolutely ask for it. And I would do that in your prayers. And then Obviously, last thing you do is pray. I always visualize and say, put angels over my bed, put angels over my son's bed, put angels over my daughter's bed, because you want the Lord and you want those angels to protect your brain and protect your sleep. It's that important. Let's go back to the number one, mental preparation, mindset change. Sleep is that important. Sleep is life and death. Your life depends on good sleep. Your ability to not get dementia, to not get cancer, to heal depends on sleep. So don't think that it's silly to pray for angels to cover your bed for sleep. You need to do it. In fact, it's the first thing that you should be doing, praying for great sleep. Last thing that we'll talk about is supplements. There's a supplement from BioOptimizers, and I'll link it, which is called Sleep Breakthrough, which has been the best supplement that I have found. It has no melatonin in it, but it, for some reason, somehow, it gets me into deep and REM the best. I do okay with REM. Deep is my hard one. I have a hard time getting into deep. So that's my favorite. I'll link that for you, and then there's a coupon code. The other thing that is a non-negotiable every single night for me is 550 milligrams of magnesium glycinate or biglycinate. And I'll put a link for that for you as well. Magnesium, especially the glycinate and the biglycinate, help you relax and rest. So important. If you are under a hard, stressful time of your life, I encourage ashwagandha before bedtime as well. I also think just ashwagandha throughout the day. It's in Vita Hustle if you take that protein, but ashwagandha before bed is very important as well. You can go up to 1,000 milligrams if you're in a really, really hard, stressful time of your life, but then try and back it away. And ashwagandha is one of the things that I like to cycle. So doing it during really stressful periods of time and then maybe backing off of it when you start to get a little bit back to status quo. Glycine, 3 grams of glycine. Love glycine. Glycine also comes or is in different collagen peptides. So it's great to have it. Great to have collagen. I like Ancient Nutrition. That's my favorite. But 3 grams of glycine before bed. I actually like it in powder form and I drink it, but you can also do it in capsule form. So ashwagandha or magnesium glycine BioOptimizers, not habit forming. There's not really any contraindicators, although always check with your doctor. They're not hormones. Can do them day in, day out, night in, night out. Ashwagandha, like I said, there are some contraindicators for that. So always ask your doctor, but most people are okay with that one. And then the last one is melatonin. When I take melatonin, I get the best deep in REM. But melatonin is a hormone. Some people will say, and some doctors and some practitioners will say, no problem with melatonin, dose that puppy up as high as you want. People will do suppositories of melatonin. I mean, truly. And I think that if you play with it, that some of the nights you take melatonin, depending on who you are, you'll see that you get the best deep in the REM. I personally think it's best because it's not that when you take too much melatonin, your body stops producing it. That's kind of the fallacy. It's really in the language of the study. It's that the part of the body that produces the melatonin stops working as hard. So you can still produce it, but it's almost like a cofactor thing. Anyway, too much science. Here's what I believe in melatonin, and here's what I think. I take it when I'm traveling, when I'm under a lot of stress and I'm not sleeping well or I'm sick. Those are the times when I do melatonin, because I do appreciate it. And it does give me a really, really good night's sleep. I just don't do it every night. And when I do it on those nights, it's usually 3 to 6 milligrams. But I've been known to, like when I'm traveling and you get jet lag, do like 20 milligrams as well. Again, all of these with the supplements, you cannot out supplement a crappy lifestyle. So the reason that we're talking about supplements last is because I don't want you to be this person who is totally backwards in their sleep, not doing any of the things that we're talking about: mental prep, light, routine, environment, 3-2-1, when you eat, when you work, and you're like, I'm just going to take glycine, ashwagandha, BioOptimizers, magnesium, and melatonin, and I'm going to be fine. No supplement is going to work for you if you have a really bad lifestyle. So you've got to do the lifestyle changes first before you go to the supplements. A woman in menopause and perimenopause, I think you're going to need supplements to help you sleep and to stay asleep. But you need to do all the other things first. So a quick recap is mental preparation, making the decision, shutting down your brain, light, how important light is, what type of light, red light, blue light, when the light goes off, your routine, when do you work out, when do you eat, and then your environment. Bedroom should be your happiest. It should be cold. There should be no EMFs. You should have the eye mask, maybe the mouth tape, cooling pads on your bed if you need that type of thing. I actually use a grounding mat on my bed. I got that for Christmas and I really, really like it, which there's some science behind that too. And I think it's perfectly fine. Some people I talk to love hydrogen water before bed. Make sure you're not too dehydrated before bed, but you are stopping to drink an hour or two before bed. So that means maybe have your electrolytes, your buoy or your element or whatever you like to have in those couple hours before bed so you're not overly dehydrated. Because waking up in the middle of the night is either we've had too much to drink, so you need to stop that, or it's your cortisol is spiking and it's keeping you awake, or blood sugar is something happening with your blood sugar. And so all of these routines are going to help you with not waking up in the middle of the night, because that's what we want to do, is not have you wake up in the middle of the night. And if you do wake up in the middle of the night, the last thing you do is you go for a screen. You just don't. Even if you have to get up and walk around a little bit, do not reach for your screen, because the second that you get that blue light, you have cut the cycle of sleep and you're not going to get back into this next cycle. And catch the sleep train. When the sleep train comes by and you start to get tired, you have to jump on it. Those of you who are taking pharmaceuticals for sleep, there are times of our life, I would assume, the reason that you went on those in the first place, your doctor had a very good reason for. Please try and get off of them. Ambien, Tylenol PM, ZQuil, NyQuil, it's fake sleep. Your bodies and your brain aren't resting. They aren't getting the deep in the REM that you really, really need. Please try and get off of them. Please do melatonin every single night instead if you need to. Try 3 grams of glycine, 550 milligrams of magnesium, and 500 to 600 milligrams of ashwagandha. Get those, try those, and try and get off whatever pharmaceutical sleep aid you are on. Drinking is the enemy of sleep. So there is no place in your pre-bed ritual for alcohol. If you're going to drink, day drink. I'm serious. No amount of alcohol is safe, but really excess sugar isn't either. And we still have that. So if you're going to have a drink from time to time, as early as you possibly can, super hydrated, and do not go to bed with a buzz or hungover, because it will kill your deep, your REM, and your HRV. And when you wake up in the morning, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at your deep, you're looking at your REM, you're looking at your HRV. Your HRV tells you how you metabolize stress the day before. Tons of information. Bookmark this, share this with a friend, share with your spouse, with your kids, whoever you cohabitate with, so you can say, hey, listen, I'm going to try and get in a good sleep routine and I want you to support me on this. Go back and listen to it, but one small change, just one small change. Maybe you just go out and get some mouth tape or an eye mask, or you institute 3-2-1, or you get some red light bulbs. Small changes, you can do it. Hey, if you loved this episode, or even if you just liked it a little bit, would you please leave a review? I'd love it if you would leave a review and click 5 stars, and then share it, subscribe, download. That's how we can continue to bring all of this great health science, biblical truth, and mindset change to you for free. And remember, no judgment here at all. This is just a place to learn and to love. And I am so grateful for you being a part of this podcast. Thank you, and God bless. Ooh, my Apollo just started vibrating. Have you tried this yet? The Apollo Neuro. No affiliation to the podcast, just kind of absolutely love them for stress and for sleep. And considering we were just talking about sleep, having the Apollo Neuro start to go off and give me some anti-stress is pretty good. I think that there is going to be a link in the show notes for the Apollo Neuro. So take a look at that. Coming up on the next episode of StRest, it is a sticky subject, but that's what we do on this podcast. Money. We are talking to Bob Loddick and his wife, who have this amazing book and this program to help you with your finances in a very God-based and centered way. We kind of get deep into things like college and savings and tithing and what the Lord really calls us to do with our money. And I know that this is one of those situations where you probably want to put your head in the sand and you don't even want to think about it, but you need to. So it can cause a lot of stress, money can, but it can also be a beautiful, wonderful thing. And the Lord wants us to be abundant. So don't miss the next episode of StRest. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your reviews help others find the podcast and join our community. Follow me on social media at Kerstin.Lindquist for daily tips and inspiration. And visit my website at www.Kerstin-Lindquist.com to sign up for our newsletter and receive exclusive content. The information provided in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions that you may have regarding a medical condition. The host of this podcast is a certified health coach and medical researcher, not a licensed medical professional, and the content shared does not constitute medical advice. While we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, we encourage you to do your own research and consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your healthcare treatment plans. Thank you for joining me on this journey to reduce stress and make room for rest. Remember, you're not alone. Keep coming back, share your story, ask for help, and give yourself grace.